Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another video. This isn't a review or a first reaction. In my previous videos about Attack on Titan, the final season, I said that I had a confession to make. Not something dramatic, it's an Attack on Titan confession, guys. So, if you've been watching my videos early on, from my actual very first video that I did talking about the first season of Attack on Titan, I had said that when it came to Attack on Titan, I personally don't prefer reading the mangas. I actually prefer watching the anime. I love the anime experience. I'm a visual person. I like seeing things come to the screen and, being blown away by that. But sometimes, reading is still great. But when it comes to like mangas and whatnot, I'm just not a fan. And when I started watching Attack on Titan, I did not read any of the Attack on Titan mangas from the very beginning all the way to the ending of the final season, part 2. And I'll explain. So, after, no spoilers here, so don't worry. After the final episode for the final season, part 2, I was completely blown away. I couldn't believe that's where they were ending it. I mean, it was a great episode. But then they had recently announced that instead of getting an Attack on Titan movie, we're getting a final season, part 3 next year. And I honestly, guys, I just couldn't wait. I could not wait for a whole nother year to see how this ends, especially with spoilers out there, because in terms of the manga's been completed for a while, so people already know how this story ends. But since I stuck to the anime and didn't read the manga, I had no idea where this was going. But after the ending of that final episode, and since if they were going to do a movie, then I wouldn't have done this. I absolutely would not have done this because I would have liked to have been surprised on the big screen. I would have waited. But since it's another season and I couldn't wait, I bought the last 2 books because I just couldn't wait. I had to know how the story ends. And just to let you guys know, I'm not talking about what happens in these 2 books. We are not talking about that until the final season, part 3, officially wraps up. So if you guys are expecting my opinions on the ending in full detail, sorry, you're probably not getting that video until next year. So I do apologize, but I won't leave you in suspense. I'll save that for the end of the video. But yeah, I couldn't wait a whole year. If it was a movie, I probably would, but just with how that episode ended and that cliffhanger, man, I just couldn't wait. So I immediately went to Amazon as soon as I finished watching it and they announced it. And I bought the last 2 books for the manga. And I'll explain this without getting into spoiler detail. So the whole story of Attack on Titan in terms of the manga has over 139 chapters. The final episode in part 2 is the end, wraps up chapter 130. So we only have 9 chapters left to cover in terms of the manga. I think volume 33 only has 4 chapters, and then volume 34 has 5. If I'm not mistaken, what chapters are started? Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. 4 chapters, 5 chapters. The only story content we have left in terms for the anime to show us is these 2 books. So that's why I said to myself, okay, it's only 2 more books. I have to know. So I got these 2 books, and I honestly have no regrets. Like, I know, it's like, oh, you said you like to watch the anime. You don't like to read the mangas. Well, when I'm invested in a series this much, and I want to know how it ends without someone spoiling it for me, well, then I'm going to do whatever the heck I want. So I got the books. I read them. I now know how the story ends. So, yes, I now know how this series is going to end. And I won't leave you guys hanging for a whole nother year. I will say this without giving away any story spoilers, promise. What did I think of the ending of Attack on Titan? Honestly, I thought it was good. I thought it was very satisfying. I was happy. It was what I kind of wanted to feel when I finished Game of Thrones a couple years ago. This series did that for me. It definitely did that for me. With what we have left to see in terms of the anime. If you guys are watching this and you haven't read the mangas, but you've been watching the anime like I did before, I will say this without spoilers. We are in for a crazy, emotional, action-packed kind of an ending. Like, you guys have no idea what we are going to see when these get adapted into the anime. You guys have absolutely no idea. And I guarantee you that you will be pleased. But also, another reason why I liked it was because, and this is kind of sad, but honest too, the ending is actually realistic. When you think about the world and what is going on in the Attack on Titan world, it honest to God kind of makes sense. So after I finished reading it, I watched videos on, any questions I had so I can properly make sure I knew what was going on. And I sat here just thinking to myself, that makes a lot of sense. That makes sense that they would do that and they would do this and that, And then at the end of the day, after I read the last page, I'm like, this was good. This was good. I liked it. I could nitpick, and I'll nitpick when I get to like my actual thoughts on the series in general. When the final season part 3 wraps up with the series finale. But I was watching YouTube videos about people talking about what their opinions, what they thought about the ending of the series. And there was one comment in one video, I can't remember which video it was, but the comment was, whatever, because I know that a lot of people are actually have mixed feelings on the ending of the series, and I totally get that. I 100% totally get that. But someone had a really good comment that, I can't really say so much for Game of Thrones, but I can say it for Attack on Titan. And the comment was essentially, whatever we think about the ending, we can't deny that this journey from the very first episode to the very ending of this show / manga, it's been one hell of a journey. And honestly, because I recently went back to rewatch the final season part 1, as I said in my part 1 video, and right now I'm actually rewatching the final season part 2. And even just rewatching this whole journey, even though I recently watched it, I am still completely blown away, and I love watching it. It's just very exciting, and I think it's great storytelling. And that's what I think in the end is the fact that, in my opinion, I think the ending was good, but also I can go back and watch this series from the very beginning and go all the way to the end. And I can do that multiple times just because of all the moments, all the things with the story, the characters, and I can see myself rewatching this series a lot. And that's one thing that I'm glad that this series did for me, was the fact that I started watching it, I was hooked, I was invested, and it wrapped up in a way that I feel satisfied knowing that I can pop in and watch this show from the very beginning and still be completely blown away. And I'm so happy for that. But in terms of like actual story elements, I'm sorry guys, you're gonna have to wait until 2023. Probably, if I'm guessing this final season is gonna air the beginning of 2023. You're probably gonna have to wait till like towards the middle of 2023 for me to give you my overall opinions on the series in general and give it a proper grade, because that's what I'm doing. I'm not in my reviews, I talked about the anime. I've not talked about the manga. So I can't really give it a grade yet. So you're going to have to wait a little while for that. But just to kind of let you guys know what happened after that final episode with part 2, I couldn't wait. I absolutely couldn't wait. And you know what? I'm happy that I did, just because I wanted to know. And I was still excited, but I can't wait to see what they're going to do when they turn this into an anime. This is going to be insane, guys. Absolutely insane. But yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to confess to you all today. So I have watched Attack on Titan without reading the manga from the beginning all the way to the ending of the final season, part 2. So I think I still did a pretty good job of not, spoiling anything until the very end. So I'm okay with that. You can berate me in the comments below. I don't care, but that's just whatever. But yeah, this is something that I kind of want to do later down the road. I kind of just want to sit down and talk about trending topics that I find interesting, especially with video games. So you might be able to expect some different kind of content in the channel whenever I get the chance, because this was kind of fun just to kind of go over me reading the ending of Attack on Titan and all that, and just something just to pass by time and make some more videos. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.